For those of you that don't know, Callum did win an award last night courtesy of D106. He was a local hero. He can just about remember. However, we won't talk about anybody else that was with him who can't remember any of the evening, and it wasn't me. So yes, good evening, welcome to another CFU meeting, quite a good attendance. I thought we'd all be over there watching Tom Jones, but you know, I thought he might have come here because he's cancelled that. I know. Calvin earlier in the week, you know, so, but hey. So yeah, a bit of a short meeting perhaps. The managers will be joining us after training. They were a bit for that, so it'll probably be about 8:30, 8:45 before they do get through to that. Tonight we do have a guest speaker. Many of you don't know him because he's shy and retiring. Head of the Community Trust, Jim. So we'll just hand over to Jim and you can tell us what you're going to talk about. We'll just get straight on with it.
Okay, good evening everybody. Committed some money to a scheme to sort of enable people in the community who might not be in particularly fortunate positions for whatever reason to come and watch the Blues. So what they did is they paid for, last year, 2 adult season tickets and 2 child season tickets, which they then partnered with Holy Trinity Church in Blacon, who run a lot of community engagement programmes. So like feeding children during the holidays when mum and dad might be out of work or unavailable, helping families who might be in a difficult position for whatever reason. So the tickets were distributed for every game last season, and lots of families who might not be able to afford to come to games or just might not be able to access it were able to do so. So it's a really good scheme, really deserving cause, and the church, I think the people who came to games really appreciated it. So Neil and Richard approached us about 4 weeks ago and said they wanted to keep the scheme going, but the fanzine hadn't quite hit their targets in terms of sales last season, probably a sort of result of crowds not being what we hoped for and performances. So they were a little bit short, so they asked if the Community Trust would be able to help. Of course we were more than willing to help, but we also thought it was maybe an opportunity to try something new. So hopefully most of you will know that the Community Trust is now a charity, which has opened up some avenues for us in terms of just giving, which has opened up some gift aid potential. So this is the first time we've really ever run a small-scale fundraising campaign and opened it up to you guys really as supporters and members to see if you would get involved. So we set an initial target of £500, and the proviso was that the Blue and White fanzine would commit £250, the Community Trust would commit £250, and whatever else we could raise towards that, we'll put it all together. So within sort of 3 days, we'd hit £580, which just shows the sort of generosity of people. So that was a bit overwhelming. And then we were approached by another individual who wanted to donate £200. So in total, we've raised £780 so far. So more than passed our target, which is fantastic. And I think that deserves a bit of a round of applause for everybody who's here. So the individual who contacted us was particularly keen to give young children the opportunity to come and watch games, and in particular to give children who may never have been to a match that sort of first match experience down at the Diva, which I think is something really good idea. So what we're going to be able to do is buy 2 adult season tickets and 2 children's season tickets, which we can distribute through the church and any other local organisations that approach us. And we will then have 9 junior season tickets that we're going to distribute through primary schools. So schools will be asked to, they can use that for whatever purpose they wish. So it might be if children have 100% attendance, that can be their reward, or punishment maybe. Children who do particularly well in a particular project or lesson, it could be their reward. There are things in school called gifted and talented schemes, so children who excel in one particular thing, maybe they might have an exceptional group of footballers and they would like to bring them along to a game to encourage them to sort of push on. Or it might be a motivational tool, so if you've got some children that don't particularly engage with English or maths but love football, it's the carrot and the stick scenario. So you can come and watch Chester, but you need to do this, this, and this. So we're going to manage it with some support from Neil and Richard Bellis. As I say, we've spoken to finance guys here and Barbara, who's processing the season tickets, and this will all be in place for the first game of the season. The fundraising campaign is actually running on for a couple more. I think it finishes on the 4th of August, first game. So you just need to go to justgiving.com/Chester-FC, and you can see there that it shows you what the target is, how many people have supported. So we've raised £580 off 11 people, which is amazing support. We're really pleased with this particular one, but also that it shows that there's potentially a fundraising model that we could use again, particularly for the community trust. So some of our projects, for example, so you may have seen the mental health project that we run, which is a brilliant project. We've won some awards for it recently, and what we do is work really closely with local partners who are supporting men who've experienced some mental health issues, maybe diagnosed, maybe not diagnosed, and they can be on, from all sorts of backgrounds. Some of them work and have some challenges. Some don't work. Some of them are homeless. Some of them have had issues with drug and alcohol dependency. So it's a real broad spectrum. But that programme, it's very difficult because of the nature of the participants' background to attach a cost. So most of our programmes are £3 a session. Try and keep it as low as possible. But for somebody who's not working, who's not got a roof over their head, £3 is a significant amount of money that they just can't pay. So programmes like that, this might be a way to fund it, so that other people who may be in a more fortunate position can donate a little each month, maybe £5, £10, and collectively that will give us a pot of money to be able to go and deliver these programmes. So that's something we'll probably trial in the future as well. So that's that scheme. The next one I wanted to talk about was improving matchday experience. And hopefully you will know that Jeff Banks and Guy Lister, a few other people in this room, are part of a fan engagement working group, which has been doing some brilliant work since the working groups were set up. Been a real success. They've come up with lots of ideas. Were key to the sort of season ticket initiative, and I think the work they've done has sort of borne fruit with the season ticket figures that we've reached. So another part of that group's remit, if you like, is matchday experience. I think what we recognised last year is, as fans and as members and as owners, unfortunately we can't really control what happens on the pitch. We can put all the things in place, we can think we've got the right manager, got the right players, but what happens at 3 o'clock on a Saturday is really out of our control. But what we can do is try and build the experience around it to be as positive as possible. So if the football's crap, well, at least they've had a nice day out. So that's where our starting point. So we've looked at what we can do around that, and as part of that, we secured a grant from Premier League Fans Fund, which was £20,000 to develop some ideas. We'll try lots of things over the next sort of months. Some of it will work, some of it won't work, but hopefully through that process, we'll be able to create a much better, much more positive and rewarding experience for people. So the first part of that is we're going to try and create a fan zone. So those of you that have been to Tranmere will have seen the huge marquee they've got, and what buzz of activity that is on match day. Now we're not quite going to do it on that scale initially. Anyone who's been to Lincoln City in the last couple of years will have seen that they have a fan zone at Sinsel Bank, which is in effect a series of shelters, marquees, smaller marquees and gazebos that are sort of created like a tented village, and they have different groups coming in each week, and it works really well. So that's the kind of model we're going to try and go down. So we've invested some money in a new marquee. We did have a marquee set up for a few games last year, and actually just having somewhere for people to come and sign up for CFU, sign up for Sealed Lottery, just to ask a question about what does the CFU do, what does it entail. I think Guy, you run that, and it's just great to be able to talk to people and have a point. So we're going to have a new marquee. I'll show you some images delivered yesterday. So that will be in place for the Spennymoor game. What we're also going to do is invite local charities and community groups to come along to games, maybe set up a marquee that they've got and promote their stuff. So we've already got some really good relationships with charities, but I think one group we've spoken to are Age UK have a programme called Men in Sheds, which is, it's actually, I think there's one in Ellesmere Port and one based just around the corner from us. So they're going to come, bring their gazebo, bring some of the work they do, and we might have supporters who potentially would like to get involved in that scheme. then another group, Chester Male Voice Choir, are going to come down to a game, so they're recruiting. So if there's any singers in the audience who want to join that, then they're going to be here at the game. They might come and do a little performance as well.
Harry Mack, put him in the Harry Mack.
Yeah, yeah. So these kind of groups that, you know, they can come, they can promote what they do, because obviously we're all, you know, most of us live in Chester or live nearby Chester, so there's a common interest there. And I think for us it's about that engagement with as, you know, wider group as possible. And then some of the stuff that we tried last year when we've done sort of big sort of focus on trying to get, you know, 200, 300 children, and we have inflatables and face painting. The kids absolutely love it, and it doesn't actually cost that much to do. So we've committed some money from this grant that every Saturday home game this year we will have some football activities, some inflatables. We'll have a face painter around at every game. So hopefully, and then those activities will be free for children as well. So just to try and extend that. Something else we're going to do is create a community zone, which for those of you that know the West Stand, in the far corner near the Harry Mack, there's a small room at the back, which I think has a Centre of Excellence sign on it, so that shows how old it is. I think it's been used for 15 years. So we're going to bring that back into use and create a dedicated area for junior blues. Obviously it's in the family zone, in the Swetland Coast Community Stand, so it seems like the right area to try that. We've got some money to sort of refurbish it, make it look a little bit tidier. It's going to have a television in there, a games console. Kids will be able to come and get some autograph sheets, maybe quiz sheets. Lupus could be based around there as well. Some of our coaches will be in there as well, just trying to engage the children. I think the players have been asked that they warm up over that side so they can sign autographs if they've done in the past. So that's something else that we're going to try. So that is the new shelter, which has been ordered. As I say, you can see that's the scale, so it's bigger, sort of twice the size of the one we had last year. Club colours, got a club logo, community trust logo. It's got our city, our community, our club, and it's got the sort of 4 strands of work of the community trust. So that'd be great on a match day, but equally it would be brilliant when we go out to community events. So some of you may have seen us at some school fetes, some of the things in Upton as well, the Upton Festival. We've got a Salty Festival that we're going to. There's a few others that we're booked in. Chester Races on the 5th of August. We'll be taking that down there as well. So it's just about raising some awareness, maybe creating a bit of a focal point that people can come and get engaged in.
Where's that going to be, Jim?
Hopefully, where the skip was. So hopefully, yeah, I know. So just to be, so where we had the gazebo for the last few games was in front of the skip, which isn't particularly attractive. Just go by the skip. But so the skip's been moved temporarily. I'm not quite sure where it's going to go to, but the idea is this seems like the right place to put it. What we think it will do is ease some of the congestion in the ticket office on a match day. Particularly, so anybody who was at the Liverpool game and was trying to collect tickets, we've seen just people congested. You then had people when the coach came in, there was just a wall of fans. Hopefully, we get a few more crowds like that later on in the season, and this will maybe help us manage it a little bit better. This one we're really excited about. So this has only been confirmed today. So this is something called the Blues Briefing, and it was an idea we had at the Community Trust towards the end of last season when there was quite a bit of negativity, quite a lot of negativity around the club, which was being driven by on-field performances. And it's a shame that that overshadows a lot of the good work that goes on off the field. And you know, we look back now and you can see the academy were fantastic last season, the women's team were fantastic. Hopefully people see the Community Trust as a positive. City Fans United and everything it stands for is a real positive example of what people can achieve when they work together. And it's a shame that, unfortunately, a lot of that was last season with the on-field stuff. So what we want to do is celebrate everything that's positive and good about Chester Football Club. So we've committed to producing this new, we're calling it a club tabloid. In effect, it's like a 4-page newspaper that we're going to have printed up. Issue 1 is going to go to print next week, and we're going to have print 10,000 copies. And we're developing a distribution plan. So the idea is that we will take these to local businesses, major employers, so MB&A, hopefully we'll take some, community venues, and so hopefully the Countess of Chester Hospital will take some, dentists, doctors, hairdressers, you know, these places where you pick up last week's copy of Woman's Own, as I often find myself reading. and you flip through it and you just read it because it's there. But by putting these tabloids around, we're hoping obviously that we'll raise a little bit more of awareness. We can promote some of the things that we're doing, that the football club is doing. And if it's received well and people think it's worth doing, we'd hope to publish it 3 or 4 times a year, subject to the cost and reception. So the cost of it, it's for 10,000 copies is £800, which doesn't seem like a huge amount of money. There is potential for some advertising within it as well. So four companies paying £200 to have an advert in each would pay for itself. We've got some examples, so that's what it's going to look like. So hopefully you can see it's bright, it's vibrant. This is the front page is to talk about Bern and John talk about obviously their preparation for the new season, their excitement. I think that is the back page as well there. So we're talking about the community ticket scheme, the response to the new season ticket prices. Stuart Murphy is on there. There's a cut out and keep fixture list for people that they can cut out and stick on the fridge or whatever. How they can join the CFU, how they can become a volunteer. So hopefully we think this is going to be a real positive moving forward. But any ideas people have got about stuff that should be in there. So I know Senior Blues, why not? We should get them in there next issue. Junior Blues, we should get in there. There's lots of stuff going on. We just want to try and celebrate. So the Community Trust are going to publish it, but obviously we're going to work with all the working groups, board, and anybody else who probably wants to get involved with that. One of our distribution plans is to distribute this door to door. So if we've got any retired paper boys or paper girls who feel like getting back into it and would like to take some copies to maybe push through neighbours' doors, or if you go to a particular place that you think this would be well received, then just drop us a line or give us a call, and we'll sort out some distribution with you. So as I say, we've got 10,000 copies, so we've got plenty to play with, and we want to just try and hit as much of Chester and Alvingport and North East Wales as we can. So the last one I want to touch on, it seems to come up a lot, and I apologise that I've got to be quite vague, but hopefully in the next 6 to 8 weeks we can talk a little bit more about this. Obviously there's been lots of speculation, lots of talk since the fantastic Stuart Murphy about what that might mean for the club in terms of facilities. The Community Trust had already been doing quite a lot of work on that separately, and before that sort of it came into the public domain. Because as a trust, we've got a real need to sort of embed ourselves in the community. So just to give you some idea, the trust this year will spend about £40,000 on facilities. So that is money from the Community Trust that we are spending at schools, Goal Soccer Centre, county offices, so money that's going out of the club at the moment, a significant amount of money. And there's also some schemes that we would like to run, and one example I can share with you is that you'll know that Callum and the club set up a BTEC programme about 12 months ago. Massive success in terms of what the boys have done on the field, but I think more importantly as an education programme, those boys are doing really well. They're getting a great service of education, and whether they make it to the first team or not, when they leave us, they'll be better people and better prepared for the working world. Now that's an elite programme, that's given Callum and his coaches the opportunity to work with those players full time. What a lot of other clubs do is run a non-elite programme, so there may be kids that are never going to be professional footballers, but may have a real passion for sport. They may be future coaches, future physios, future sports therapists, strength and conditioning coaches. There's so many careers in sport now that running a non-elite BTEC programme would give those people the opportunity to work in a football club, to gain real valuable hands-on experience alongside a BTEC qualification, so that they can then go into the working world. Now that may be future coaches who come and work for the Community Trust, so they could come on a BTEC, then progress to an apprenticeship, and progress to full-time coaches. So there's a nice pathway there that we think we could develop. But in order to do that, we need some space. At the moment, there is no space at the club. There is no facility at the club. Callum will tell you that he's having to beg, steal and borrow facilities at the moment. So we've been talking to key stakeholders, so Cheshire West and Chester Council, Cheshire Football Association and the Football Foundation. They recognise what we're trying to do. Crucially, they've done a lot of work around what kind of facilities does Chester as a city need. where's the demand, and we can respond to that. So we have identified a site in Chester that we believe can be developed into a base for the community trust. That site has enough space for offices, a classroom, meeting space, 2 grass pitches and a 3G pitch. So it's a substantial piece of land. That site, this next point is really critical really. The FA have been doing a huge piece of work over the last 6 months called the Local Football Facilities Plan, not place. And they're doing this in every borough across the country. Cheshire West is one of the first 10 boroughs to do this piece of work. This will guide funding in facilities for the next 10 years. So the Football Foundation, you may have seen stuff around Wembley being sold. We're talking about £600 million to be invested in facilities. Whether Wembley gets sold or not, the FA are going to invest hundreds of millions of pounds in facilities over the next 10 years. Now, this particular site has been identified as a priority project. What that means is that the FA say that in 10 years that site will be transformed. How quickly that happens depends on the stakeholders and the partners involved and what they can bring to the table in terms of capacity and in terms of money. So this particular site is a priority. It's second on the list of 10 priorities, so it's an important site. Cheshire FA are desperate to develop it, council are desperate to develop it, and we think that we can probably be the catalyst, if you like, to make that happen. So the next steps for that is we're going to establish a steering group of people from the club, people from the trust, and people from externally who have relevant skills, knowledge, experience, contacts to help us progress this. So if there's anyone in this room who's got experience in project management, experience in business planning, sourcing external grants, sports and leisure industry, it's quite a broad spectrum. If you think you'd like to get involved in that, then come and see me or drop me a line and I'll quite happily share a little bit more with you. There's obviously some things that we're going to have to progress through, so proposals, so we'll need to firm up exactly what it is we want on this site. Site inspections have already started, business planning has already started, feasibility study, the FA will look after that side of it for us, they've done a lot of work. I think a crucial one will be consulting with the local community and local residents and making sure that they see what we're trying to do. The plan would be that this site is owned by the council and they would be looking to complete an asset transfer to the community trust. As a charity, there's some benefits to that. And the bottom one is the most important one, fundraising. Football Foundation, as I say, will commit a significant amount of money to the project. However, there will be an expectation on other partners to put money in as well. The reality is, as a football club and a community trust, we're not, we haven't got swathes of cash knocking around. But I think what we have got is 1,600 members who, between us, I think, have got some really good ideas about how we might be able to do that. There's potential community share issues. There may be some local businesses and sort of local wealthy people who like this project that would like to get involved in it. So as we go through that process, we'll need to understand exactly how much we're expected or need to bring to the table to make this a reality. I wouldn't like to speculate on numbers at this stage, but we're confident in the next 6 to 8 weeks this will progress relatively quickly. And hope would be that by the end of, probably the end of September realistically, we'll be in a position to hope to progress this and go public with more details about the actual site and the plan itself. It's really exciting. What I would say, and I'm probably biased, so I would say this, is that this or something similar needs to happen. Anybody who's been to Fylde will know the facilities they've got. I went to Accrington Stanley last year, where I was thinking of a club of a similar size to us. They are building a £2 million community sports hub, which is unbelievable. That's Accrington Stanley. So these clubs that we've always considered ourselves to be on a similar keel to are moving forwards and progressing, and we need to go with them in order to compete as best as we hope to on the football pitch. I think that's it from me. I've probably talked enough. If you've got any questions about anything I've spoken about, anything the Community Trust is doing, I'll quite happily answer them. But thank you very much.
questions for Jim on that?
Well done, Jim.
You've got another 20 minutes to fill, yeah? The manager's not coming back. Can you say where the site is for this?
All I can say is it's in Chester. It's in Chester, yeah, that's all I can say at the moment. But as I say, hopefully by certainly the end of September, we would hope to be able to share with everybody where that site is. Because of, I think schemes like this are quite sensitive, because what you're talking about is a site that isn't particularly well used at the moment, and we want to turn it into a buzzing site that's used 7 days a week by, to be honest, thousands of people over the course of the week. And I think whenever you get something like that, there's always going to be some resistance locally. But we think the potential of it, in terms of getting more people playing sport, getting people healthier, some of the projects that we run, is massive and really exciting. And through the consultation, we need to try and get that message out to people. It's a fair point, and it's a valid point. Yeah. So as part of the local football facilities plan, we've been effectively what they've done is map every facility in Cheshire West and map every club, how many teams the clubs have, how many teams would they like to have. So Vauxhall, for example, is a huge club. They don't have any women's or girls teams. So one of the reasons they got the funding is because they committed to setting up a girls section and a women's section. So that would potentially be, you go from under 7 girls to under 16 girls, you could be talking about another 150, 200 girls who aren't playing football at the moment, who would be. And that's what the FA want, they want numbers. So it's a valid point. Chester and Cheshire West at the moment has a shortfall of 4 3G pitches. So there are 4 artificial pitches required in Cheshire West. That's after Vauxhall, after anything that's been built at the moment. So the reality is, if we don't do this in the next 5 years, those pitches will be built elsewhere, and it will become very, very difficult to attract funding. You can still do it, but you'll have to pay for it yourself, and you're talking about 600k, 500k to do that, which is a significant amount of money. So again, I would say it because I'm biased, but for me it needs to be a priority for us all as members, as owners, that this happens, whether it's here, there, wherever it is, it needs to happen.
I mean, this is another question that might not be able to answer, but I was thinking about the Stuart Murphy sort of money, and a lot of people, if you like, try to guess what it's going to be spent on, and 3G pitches and that type of thing is something that people have advocated for this club, haven't they, on the facilities that we've got. So that again would be, to some extent, competition.
Potentially, yeah. I think just going back to the point I made is that from a community trust perspective, the amount of programmes we're running at the moment at external pitches, as I said, it's 40k a year that we're spending on facilities this year. That's a significant amount of money that we spend.
That's sort of hiring pitches.
That's just purely on pitch hire.
Right.
Purely on pitch hire, yeah. Huge amount of money. Regardless of what does or doesn't happen with Stuart Murphy's donation, the community trust needs to establish a base. Now, it may be as that progresses that there's an opportunity to sort of dovetail those things together. I don't know, but we've been working on this for probably 9 months, in sort of conversations and identifying sites. So we're quite keen to progress this, because if there's no opportunity to complement what Stuart Murphy's donation is spent on, then at least we've got this anyway. So
Brilliant.
Do you see that pitch, if it comes about, do you see that the club would be able to use it?
it's a good question.
For training purposes?
Yeah, good question. What I'd say, the Football Foundation, who would be our primary funder, so they would probably, as a minimum, in our funding model, provide 50% as a minimum. We would hope they would provide more like 70%, so a huge amount of money. If you're talking, argument's sake, let's take a figure, £1 million project, they would be putting 700k potentially. So they, to some extent, will dictate who uses the site. And from their perspective, what they want is more people playing football. And Callum won't mind me saying this, that they would consider the academy as an elite programme, So there are only X amount of players in that academy, whereas, let's say, Blaken Youth, Sawbrook Colts, Princess Villa and Ellesmere Port, Tarvin, these clubs will get as many people playing football as they can. And so they really want local community clubs and local community schemes to be the primary users. Probably just to counter that, all the Football Foundation usage is primarily in the evenings. That's when community clubs and teams want pitches. Obviously at the moment, the first team have moved to evening training, but I think the aspiration of the club, correct me if I'm wrong, is to return to a full-time model at some point. In the daytime, we would envisage that this facility probably wouldn't be used by any external clubs, so there's potential there that the first team could use it. Yeah. So can't really say yes or no, but yeah.
I don't think we can as a club.
No.
I mean, it's an exciting project, something that has been talked about long before Stuart Murphy came on the scene. I think it's something that could work well with the club. It certainly satisfies a lot of the community trust aims. We are a community-based club, so that's got to work. However it's funded, we will have to fit in with that. If that dovetails what we do here at the stadium, that's great. It can only benefit the community as a whole. There's no further decisions being made by the board, by Stuart, by anybody as yet as to what happens.
I think one of the ways, and I've spoke to Callum a lot about this, because Callum will tell you that the academy spend thousands and thousands of pounds on facilities, again, at external venues. I think if, as a club, and when I say a club, that could be the football club, the community trust, if we have a facility of our own, is it not better that the academy is spending money within that facility? Because in effect we're keeping it in the house, if you like.
Paying for pitches.
Yeah. So I think that's the idea. We wouldn't envisage as a community trust that we have this great facility and we use it for free. We still expect to pay, but the money would be reinvested in that facility to make it better. All right, thank you very much.
No, as I just said, I think that's exciting. I think the Blues briefing is also an exciting development for the club. It will get the name out there even further. I think as Jim was saying, if there are people out there that can even deliver a couple of copies to your local doctor's surgery, that's great. You know, we do have a dearth of reading material in these places, and if we can get Chester out there in front of them, see what we can do on that front. I think the managers are due here in about 10-15 minutes, so I think everybody just wants to take a drink and we'll storm the bar. And we'll have a sit down and any other questions after, either for the board in general, or if you think of anything else for Jim, by all means give us a shout.
Just had an idea. I'm meant to change the comments.
Yes, yeah.
Maybe you can speak.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, I'd love to.
We have
Oh yeah. You're all right, your arm shaking. Yeah, I'd love to do that, yeah.
maybe
Yeah, that's good.
God, that worked. Just, I don't know what happened. No, that does not happen at home. And there's only Fiona and the dog, and neither of them listen. That's great. So now we do have, once again, two very special guests. Chester's answer to Strictly Come Dancing. No. If you've seen them on the touchline at the last game, as far apart as they could possibly get. One doing the shouting and one just doing the watching. That's what I like. So they're open for questions. They might not be able to answer everything. Some stuff that I'm sure we'll all want to ask questions will be confidential, but I'm sure they'll do their best. So I'll hand over to Bern and Jono.
How's this work now? They're asking questions, or
They're going to ask a question to you. Then we shall repeat the question so that old Jeff here can pick it up on his streaming.
who's first?
Are you reasonably
One at a time.
Hands up, Mike.
That's a
There you go.
Are you reasonably happy the way things are going at the moment? In preparation for the first game?
Yeah.
Next question.
Next question. I mean, we've just been having a chat with Richard now. Firstly, the welcoming we've had since we 4 or 5 weeks we've been here has been incredible. We couldn't feel any more comfortable as we tried. We've come out of a meeting tonight and really tried to push, sort of completing the squad, and they give us the go ahead. So everything we've asked for, we've tried to work towards it. We've not got a yes on everything, and we'll keep asking them, and they'll probably keep telling us no. But if they can do it, they'll do it. So in terms of support and the direction we're trying to go in, we're happy men. And we were just saying, we've not hit traffic yet. So if you were to ask us that question next week, it might be a different answer. But we're happy, and we're looking forward to the start.
Have you found a 30-goal season man yet? When you just signed it?
Tommy.
We have, but he plays for Tottenham.
And the answer from Lawrence on that one was?
Yeah, I tried,
I'm
but
sure,
probably
yeah.
not. Listen, everyone up and down the country is looking for that striker. Honestly, there's probably 10, 15 years ago, every team had two. There was a plethora of them. Now it's difficult to find one that scores 15. We won the league last year, and our top scorer got 17. And Harrogate's top scorer, who finished second, who got promoted, scored 14. They don't exist because, and for me, in my opinion, is that with the way football's gone with the under-23s and under-18s, and professional football clubs having that many players within the club, they're dropping into non-league and getting any player that scores 10, 15, 20 goals, especially younger ones. So it makes it a much more difficult market where we are to go and find that one player. And obviously, if there's a player that Danny Rowe, as an example, who plays for Fylde, Andy Cook, who was at Tranmere, if they do it every year, then they command a lot more money. And they command money that realistically, if you watch them play, they're not worth that, if that makes sense. If you watch them during the game, you're wondering, what do they do? Apart from score a goal. But the amount of money that they want paying is ridiculous, to be honest with you, and that's why I don't think there's that many knocking about. We're trying our best. I'm not trying to give you a political answer here, but we're trying our best to get one in. We've had a meeting tonight about a lad we're trying to get in. We finished our second top scorer last season. If we can get him in, we'd be absolutely delighted. But again, there's a few different things that need to add up for that to happen. And we don't want to make a signing in any position just for the sake of making a signing, just to pad the squad out. It's got to be the right player. And we might go and sign Andy Cook, who commands £4,000 a week, but it doesn't guarantee he's going to score 30 goals this season because he did last season. It's always a gamble, whatever we're going, there's always some sort of risk. But we know that's an area that we need to nail down, and we're grafting every day on that.
If you found £4,000 a week to spend on a player, can you have somebody give me Lawrence's number quick?
Tell Lawrence, isn't it?
Yeah. That'd be lovely to see. That.
I'd have Monday.
Well, here's hoping. Question.
That was quick.
Yeah, that's it. Right. Okay, well, any more? Yeah.
Okay, tomorrow night, do you plan on playing your strongest team? Is it worth right now?
I think it's going to be difficult tomorrow, especially with 2 games in 24 hours. I think,
First team friendly?
yeah, it's going to be a mixture. I don't know. I mean, we've agreed we'll have a chat the way I'm just going to work. We've just been to training now. We've got 26 players at training tonight, so it's probably going to be a squad of 15, How that's going to look, we don't actually have the answer to that yet, but it's definitely going to be a strong squad.
I hope it's not an unfair question, sir.
I didn't say.
I hope it's not an unfair question.
No, it's not. No, listen, if you're going to give your time to come and watch the lads, I think you need an answer, and I think any squad we send down there is going to be strong. We're going to be there. If it
We're
weren't
going to
going to
see
be,
a few from around here down there, especially the sports that live over the side I do, because I don't know.
yeah, okay, yeah, it'll be a strong squad.
Hang on.
Did I read it right that you're not intending to have a goalie, a backup goalie on the premises?
We've got Grant Shenton, our number one keeper at this moment in time. We've got a lad who's been training with us all pre-season that we're intending on signing on a deal that's going to go immediately out on loan. So whatever the cost of the football club is, it'll be negative because he'll go straight out immediately to a club the league below. And we've got another young lad who's training with us. I don't like to call him a training keeper because it's not fair on him. He's a very good young goalkeeper. But having a keeper that's sat on the bench or sat in the stand is a cost that at our level of football we don't really need. We don't feel we do anyway. You know, obviously you're taking a big risk and a big chance. But obviously if we pick up an injury in training and we've got a keeper then, and obviously we can get them signed on and change things. But you know, I remember talking about the loan market the last time we stood here, and that's one of them sort of things where we probably look at you know, getting somebody on loan if we went down that route. We've got to use our budget as wisely as we can. And if Grant Shenton doesn't miss a game all season and we're contracted to a number 2 goalkeeper that's taking X amount of pounds up, perhaps it could have been used in other areas. So in an ideal world we'd want 3. Honestly, you'd probably want 3, but we're not in a, you know, non-league clubs I don't think are in a position to be able to do that in general.
So will there be a goalie on the bench in league games?
No, not as it stands at the minute. Not as it stands at the minute. But we've had a goalkeeper on the bench in every friendly so far. So
Have we got somebody in the team that can take over?
Yeah. One of the ordinary players.
yeah, I play 5-a-side and go for our team on a Monday night, so it might be me. It's a great question, you know, one that we haven't got the answer to at this moment in time. Normally it's the biggest lunatic.
Sonny got injured. And
Well, we had I don't know if you heard
no one on the bench.
We had a lad who got sent off
Nobody
last
played.
season. Our goalkeeper was peeing on the pitch. He got sent off in the 82nd minute. We were watching the game down here, and the referee runs past us and sends our keeper off. We didn't have a clue what it was, and apparently he bent down, pretends to stretch, and peed on the pitch. Got sent off. I've never seen nothing like it. Never seen nothing like it. This is a New Zealand international goalkeeper, and Richie Allen, who's an absolute nutcase, when in goal, he ended up doing all right, didn't he? So if you've got someone who puts it under, yeah, I know, it's a great question to ask.
Yeah.
I don't think lads will be
When we
trained
first
to do it.
restarted, Michael Wilde ended up, who was our top striker, if you like to call it that, and he went in goal on a couple of games.
Have you got his number? I knew somebody who doubles up.
That's too much.
Yeah.
Can you give us some idea of what your training and fitness regime has been over the last few weeks?
You get a couple of lads in if you want. It's been really intense. I think in terms of working on a part-time basis, you know, we've only gone 2-3 times a week for a couple of hours a night. So it's important we get the miles in the legs, but certainly working that technical, tactical corner as well. So it's trying to get the balance right. But I think in terms of the fitness levels, we did the markers the first week, and everybody's massively improved in terms of fitness. We're still at trialists in and around the team, so I think this last couple of weeks leading up to the first game of the season is where we really work on shape and working that technical, tactical corner. But I think if you were to ask the lads, they'd probably say training's been really, really poor and hard, and they don't want to do it again. But pre-season's not there to enjoy it. You're there to get fit. You're there to work hard. You're there to impress. And like I say, we're really happy with what we've seen out there.
We're there to set standards as well. So if we work at a certain level in terms of the fitness stuff and the physical stuff, then that's the minimum required in every training session, let alone the games. You know, that sorts itself out. But we've got to set standards early doors, and it is tough. Of course, it's hard, and everyone goes on about our pre-seasons and things like that. But everyone else is grafting. So our sort of mindset is that we want to be working harder than everyone else. You'll do certain runs that aren't just about the fitness. It's about character building, seeing how far they're prepared to push themselves. But also with that, with the fitness, it's about recovery. So a lot of the fitness work that me and Bernard do with the lads, and Derek does with the lads, is that We probably haven't worked any less hard than what we did at Salford as full time last year. The difference is you get the recovery and the rest time being full time, but some of these lads might, I don't know what job they all do as an example, but it's more to do with the recovery and what they're doing right once they go home. We've just started to, I've probably heard a few of our interviews where it's only now we're starting to try and nail down what we're going to look like when we've got the ball. The first 2 weeks, 3 weeks has been about getting to know each other, getting to know each other's strengths, getting them fit, getting the basics right. Because believe it or not, that's the hardest part sometimes, is getting the basics right. And then now we're starting to work on, let's put a session on tonight where what we look like when we haven't got the ball, when the opposition have got the ball, when we're in certain areas of the pitch, what we look like, how organised we are. So it starts to be a bit more structure to identify what we're going to look like on a match day with what we're doing in training, if that makes sense.
Where are you doing the training?
We've been at Sorgle for the first couple of weeks, and then they're sort of repairing the pitches now. So we've just moved to Blake High School on the 4G, which is, facility-wise, we've been really pleased with what we've had. Blake in the 4G, it's brand spanking new, so it's got shock absorbers in because a lot of lads complain about training on astroturf, but it's a really good surface in it, and it's more realistic to what we're trying to do in terms of working on shape. It's a full-size pitch, and the surface is very good, which will replicate the pitch out there. So yeah, really pleased with that.
Do you mind fans coming down to see you training?
Listen, we can't stop anyone coming down, but in terms of like concentration levels for the lads and whatnot, you'd have to ask them that. I mean, again, there's been a lot of people there tonight. I don't think who's watching us. Obviously, they see Chester coming down, so they're watching the kids and then they're sort of staying behind, watching what we're doing. But if everyone starts to come down, you might get the opposition scouts coming down, watching what we're doing as well. So, but no, we can't put a stop to that. That's something that, down to, I don't know whether we put it out on social media where we're training. We like to keep that sort of in-house, so don't be telling Tranmere or especially Spennymoor where we're training.
Don't give the social media people anything more to do. It's good.
Yeah, Jeff will learn that one. But no, it's been good.
Your recruitment so far appears to be a bit top-heavy on midfielders and defenders. Who's going to score the goals for us if you don't get any strikes in?
Well, we're still waiting on Harry Kane at the goal. We've just, it's not been announced yet, so I don't think we can say about a new signing that we've, no, okay. I don't know. Kill me.
I don't know what's the space.
Yeah.
You have had a try with a striker who scored a couple of goals. Is he likely to be in the frame?
Possible. The lad who's been on trial, came in on trial to prove his fitness and nothing more. We know the level he's been at. He's a different type of forward that we're looking for at this moment in time. In the sense is he's a target man, plays with his back to goal. He brings other players into play. He's not somebody that will go and get 25, 30 goals, but he's an option that we need now. What we said when we brought him in was we just want to prove his fitness, and he's done more than prove his fitness. Now we're starting to nitpick a little bit and go, can you do this and can you do that? So he's doing really well. He might be somebody that we offer a deal to.
Many of our games last year, there was a single striker.
Yeah.
And he just needed the support.
Yeah.
And it didn't work. We know the results, you know what happened. We need two strikers that needs to work together, and I think we need two wingers.
Yeah.
Do we have two wingers?
So what formation do you want us to play?
Why don't you play 2-3-5? That's an old one, isn't it?
Yeah, we win every game 6-5.
We'll be quite an expansive side the way we want to play. We want to play with width, as you say. If we can play with three centre forwards, we'd love to, but it's not just about putting players in areas of the pitch. There's got to be some process in what gets us to that spot. So just going back to what you said about position being top heavy. Well, actually, we've only got two centre backs at the club. We've got one right back and one left back. We've got three central midfield players: Gary Roberts, Gary Stockton, Scott Burton. We've got attacking midfielders. We've got Craig Mann. We've got George Green. We've got the boy Dan Mooney on loan from Fleetwood. Nathan Brown. So we've got options, but we need them options in the way that we anticipate it playing. What we don't want is 6 or 7 lads sat in the stand come a Saturday. So we want a tight knit group. We've also got the 4 first year pros that are absolutely flying, doing so well, but 2 are right backs. When you talk about an imbalance, we've almost got 3 right backs and not got a centre forward. So there is an imbalance to the squad, and it's what our meeting tonight's been about with the board. Obviously, we can see where there's holes in the squad, and we're working on that.
What is your preferred formation?
Well, I think you've got to be pragmatic.
Yeah.
You know,
Go with what you've got.
absolutely love 4-4-2 with width.
Yeah.
Chester have got the biggest pitch I've ever seen, ever. So if you play against a good possession side that can play through big gaps in an expansive, we've got to be pragmatic. It's all dependent on number one, our recruitment and what we get into the club, but also as well thinking about what they might do. And then we're a small part of
You've got a
that.
plan B then?
Oh, hopefully we've got plan Z. I can't sit here and say we've not.
So plan A works.
It's not. Yeah.
It was noticeable when the 2 teams, the game against Liverpool and the 2 teams came out, the size difference, massive, and maybe that was because they just happened to have some pretty big fellas up front. But we've got quite a small side, haven't we?
Yeah. Yeah, we have.
Is there anybody that we haven't seen yet that's a bit bigger?
That's just someone I had in the cupboard.
Messi.
Yes, I'm
No,
not
small.
not thinking that Alan,
It's not about size.
Listen, Alan, size is everything. No, have we got a Giroud person sort of up front that didn't go, but he ended up with a World Cup medal for France. So there's nobody like that.
Listen, we had the biggest team in the league last season, didn't we? And when we finished 4th 2 seasons ago, we sat down and worked. Why did we finish 4th? What did we miss? What was we short on? We conceded a lot of set piece goals against Tom Denson at Halifax and them type of sides who had 6'7" centre forwards. So we changed our recruitment this time last year, or a bit earlier than that, to incorporate a bit more size. But then almost you become very rigid in what you do. People know what you're going to do and what you set up to. We've openly sat here and said to you, we want to be exciting, we want to get people on the edge of the seats with the way we want to play. That doesn't mean 7-foot monsters can't do that, but I think when you set up to just be big, you end up being direct. Now, you might sit here and say, well, listen, we just want to watch winning football. I understand that. But after a while, you'll get pretty damn bored of doing that, watching like a tennis game. But that goes back to having a plan B, plan C, plan D. We might be 1-0 down in a game and might need 2 6'3" lads up top, might be a centre half. Might have to change our shape, and it goes back to being pragmatic. You're right, we know that we're quite a small side. But we're very robust, we're tough, we're strong, we're fit, and there's a lot of things that we are happy with, but there's also stuff that you always want to improve on.
But, I mean, in one particular year, I can remember, after we reformed, we were a bit struggling from set piece, because we didn't have enough height.
We're massive on set piece. It's not always to do with your height either, it's to do with how you set up and your organisation. We work on that religiously, our set pieces. So it might you're not going to have Nathan Brown marking Tom Denson on a corner. So it's just about being organised.
Can I just ask a question about recruitment? Who assesses the players? How would you assess players? Do you have any sort of people that does this for you? Do you do it yourself? How do you assess players?
We speak to we've obviously
You speak to them.
Well, in terms of what we know, we don't see as many games as what a
Correct.
scout might do.
Yeah.
So over the season, 42 games,
Yeah.
we might mark the best player. Every team we play will put down.
Ah, right,
like
okay.
him, and you sort of
Okay.
monitor it. And obviously, we've got a couple of volunteers this year working with Chester,
Yeah.
who also will be on the phone 24/7 when they can be.
Right. Okay. And you trust these people that say, look, or you have to do, I suppose. Yeah.
We don't trust many people. We don't even trust each other. So that's why we sit so far away. The answer to your question, as accurate as I can get it, is that you have to trust people.
Yes,
You have to do
absolutely,
that.
yeah.
Now, we've took a couple of lads on board that we'd like to think the knowledge of the game is very good.
Yeah.
We've played underneath both scouts. They know how we work. They know how
Yes.
we've won leagues before. So we'd like to see if they can identify a profile of player we want. They're never going to get it right, and they're not always going to get it right. But if they can get 1 gem out of 10, that's good enough for Chester, and it's good enough for us. However, while they're analysing players, they're also trying to analyse the team and do a report. So, but in terms of due diligence done on the 2 scouts and what they've sort of put forward to me and John up to now, touch wood, they're looking good, and the reports that have come back on them are all good. So, and like we say, it's very annoying when you put all your eggs in one basket, and scout says this player is going to be the one that wins you or scores you 30 goals and comes in and scores you 5, and then you get sacked. You try and blame it on your scout, but always don't do that. So it's important that we do trust the people that we work with, and anyone that looks to
You don't watch players well, obviously you can't really because you haven't got the salmon.
Second game of the season, we play on a Monday night against Curzon away. So that Tuesday night and that Wednesday night, we'll both be at 2 games. So but when you play on a Tuesday, 90% of the other teams play on a Tuesday as well. So it's just getting a balance, and when we can get to games, we'll get to games.
I'm going to say something now that I'm chairman of the Chester Former Players, and we have 155 ex-players. And obviously they've all played the game, they've all, right? I'm asking you, if you want any help or support, we would like to help you.
We can discuss that on the 3rd of August, can't we?
Yeah.
Is it still on that, isn't it? Oh, is that seat? Oh,
No, see this.
sorry.
We're former players.
So 155 scouts we've got.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Absolutely tap into it.
So we can have a chat about it. 155. He's Stuart Rimmers. He's a striker. So if he goes and watches a match and sees a striker, just get on the phone and see. That's what I'm trying to say. We're willing to help and support you.
Volunteers?
Yeah.
They'll go to, well, if they want to go to the match, we'll pay the money for them to go to a match. If you see anybody, they'll go to a match. They'll go to a match. So we'll have a chat about it. But you know, the more support you can get from, that side of it, the football side of it, we're willing to help you. If that's okay, we can have a chat about it sometime.
Someone can spot. There's always going to be a process
Yeah.
to get to where you want to get to, and obviously we're the end process.
Yeah.
After seeing a player, then we go to the board, can we sign a player?
Yeah.
But how many times someone picks up the phone and says to you, listen, there's a lad playing at a local club down here, we'll have a look in. We took loads on the back of that. So you can never turn your nose up to people that know the game.
That's right.
However, if half of Chester start calling us, saying there's some player playing in Anglesey, can you come down on Sunday morning? Yeah. But
No, that's okay. We'll have a chat
Brilliant,
about
that's
it
great.
and just the format.
Fantastic.
Can you say something about the style of play that your players or your team will play? Will they play the ball on the ground, a passing game, or loop ball?
We will try to we'll try to be exciting. What does that mean? What does exciting mean? It means that you want to see players, wingers going one-on-one beating a player. You want to see people creating chances for other players. You want to see lads striking a ball from 20 yards if they get the opportunity. We want to see forwards one-on-one on goal. We want to be exciting. We want you to look at our team and go, do you know what? They're trying to win every game. We set up to win, if that makes sense. We never set up to lose. It goes, I know it's what I said before, but it's about being pragmatic. So there might be some games in January where we go to, give me that pitch quick,
Leamington.
we go to Leamington in January or whenever we play them and the pitch is brown with mud and we can't play through them and we have to go long, then that's what we'll have to do. So we don't sit here and say to you, we're going to play out from the goalkeeper and everyone's going to touch the ball and then we'll score a goal. We don't do that. We set up to win games of football, however that may come. Hopefully it's by playing beautiful football at Man City. It probably won't be, but we'll try our best to do that. But as I said to you, the main focus for me and Bernie, signing people like George Green, keeping players like Craig Mann, signing players like Matty Hughes, that type of calibre of player, that is exciting to watch. We can see what they're trying to do rather than somebody gets the ball and just, yes. Yeah, I hope we don't hoof it first game of the
What
season.
sort of process have you got in place to ascertain the medical fitness of the players before you sign them?
Well, George Green had a medical with Mark England, is he the doctor, the club doctor? So everything's done properly. As a football club, not just being as a football club, we try to do absolutely everything possible. Again, it comes back to what we said. It doesn't mean in training tomorrow he's not going to break down and hurt himself. But in terms of working out what might be wrong with his body, then we've got things in the football club that.
Does that include? Do you get any sort of medical history with that, where they've been at other clubs if they've not played for you previously?
Yeah, we've been quite lucky that we've signed quite a few players. Obviously, that played for us and we know everything about them. But if you're signing a player that you don't really know, when you are taking a risk on a scout, there's got to be some due diligence done in terms of what injuries have they had, and not just going off the player's word. I've never been injured before, and then find out 2 weeks down the line he's had a cruciate ligament 12 months back. We put as much processing as we can to find out everything about the player. You know, it's been probably well documented about George Green's things he's been through in the past, but that's stuff that we believe, you know, he's over and that we can work with. If you struggle with, I don't know, some sort of injury that's been plaguing you for the last 10 years, and it's our job to, you know, the medical department's job to ensure that we're fully aware before we commit to anything. And I was saying before, you know, we've been quite lucky so far that, well, actually last season we had a 97% selection rate throughout the season, every single week. So it was a minimum player, one player injured out of a 20-man squad every week. And so far we've not had one injury. I can't believe it. Apart from Matty Waters, who was already injured, you know, prior to us taking over. So when we say we work the lads hard, there's always a science behind what Bernard and Derek do. It's not just a case of get trainers on and run around Chester for a few hours. You know, we try and build them up to make sure that the rigours of football, they're protected by it.
How much did you enjoy the Liverpool match stroke experience of the day?
I didn't enjoy getting beat 7-0. We've been managing, this is our 10th season, never lost 7-0 in our lives, but do you know what? The respect that they showed us by bringing the team that they did. I look back to the way the game finished. We had 8 youth team players, or 8 lads under 20-year-old playing against Liverpool's first team. That is absolutely unbelievable and vital experience for them lads for the rest of their lives. Not just their careers, but their lives that they've been involved in stuff like that. For us, the best side we've ever played against. You know, we've played against Benfica in behind closed doors games, and United. In fact, Bernard's played against United when he was playing. But that experience for the football club itself, getting a sellout crowd, everything about it was amazing. We knew we'd get absolutely battered, and we thought to ourselves, you know, keep it below 10, we'll be happy. When we get to 38 minutes, it's 0-0, we're thinking, what, we're going to win the league here? An hour later, it's 7-0. But the golfing class was obvious to see, but what an experience for everybody.
Mr. Klopp
Did you going to have to say
relax. Mr. Klopp said he didn't actually relax till they were 3-0 up.
Really?
That's when he relaxed.
I'm relaxed for 3 up as well.
But at that point, the first half, he said the team you put out, considered it was a new squad and you were new managers.
Oh, we was delighted with the lads throughout the game. But obviously, what we wanted to do was we had 11 senior players, and we started all 11. And to be still in the game, you know, Jordan Archer, if you remember, went in one-on-one with Carriers, should have scored.
Yeah.
Could have won it up. Yeah.
So the bloke in front of me who was a scout had said he must be crap to go striker. Carriers shouldn't go and say.
That's why we saw him to Berry.
Have you seen him here?
Do we still have players looking to come here? You know, is there a big draw?
I wish we didn't, but I do.
Is there, you know, perceived as a big club in this league?
Yeah. To be fair, I mean, we've been a lot more hands-on in terms of the recruitment this year, and the phone, it's not stopped, and it gets to the point where you don't want to answer your phone anymore, and you get labelled arrogant. We've sort of set our stall out with what we want and how many players we want to carry. But Chester, obviously myself and John have been successful last year, especially the younger players. Agents just want to be able to say Chester's this, Chester that, Chester that. But the full-time things, obviously, I wouldn't say it's not helped us in a lot of departments, because we probably could have attracted a lot more younger quality if we'd have been full-time. But in terms of the development for the young lads, they want to put the players in full-time environments. Whereas the benefit side of it, for us to be successful, we had to go part-time with the budget. But I mean, especially, I went away for 2 weeks, and I know John went away for 2 weeks. I must have had 300 missed calls and 600 messages about player after player after player. So in terms of Chester and the catchment area, it's as good as anywhere we've ever been. And even now, while we've been at training, phone still goes, and I think it will continue to go. But I think, like we say, we're virtually done in terms of recruitment now. It'd be nice to maybe try and keep a little bit of money, you know, maybe it's a couple of months into the season. If we start well, we always want to improve while we're doing well. But no, the answer to your question is it's been hectic, it really has. We've not struggled to attract players at all.
Has your budget increased at all from the sort of 250,000 mark that was talked about?
Are we allowed to answer that, Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
Yeah, I think one thing we've in terms of Chester's integrity, they've definitely stood by what they've said that in terms of gates, fees for Jordan Archer, a certain amount of money will go back into the playing budget. So everything they've sort of agreed prior to us coming in, they've stuck to the word, and that's only a good thing for us moving forward, because having that trust is key for me and him, being able to pick the phone up to whoever it be from the committee and saying, can we do this? And they basically work with us in every way, shape or form up to now. So the future's good for me and him in terms of that integrity of the club, especially after being through what we went through last year in terms of that Christmas period. So the support's vital.
So it's increased over and above the 250,000.
It's gone up about £25 a week since we've been here. I think what gets negated with it though is that we've had to pay a couple of players out as well. So obviously 2 players that were on the books. I can't praise them enough. I'm not trying to embarrass anybody, but as a board, I can't praise them enough for how quick they got the 2 lads out. And to be fair to Ross and Kingsley, they were fantastic, in terms of training and the application for us. But there was no secret that they wanted out, we wanted them out, the football club wanted them out. Everyone needed a fresh change, but to do that, there was a cost. And everyone was happy with that, in terms of compromise of how we've done it. So there's been increases to the budget, but along with that, there's also that to go out on that. But it's not always it's not always about budget. Managers want as much money as they can, don't they?
Just quote you on that.
Yeah.
Lawrence is actually watching this. He's writing everything down, and he's saying he will use it in evidence against you.
We, we'll talk about the centre forward and things like that. They're an extra cost, and we've also, in terms of where you say about we're heavy in certain areas of the squad. It's just the way it's been. It's just the way we've recruited. We've got some top players. I mean, we've signed. Hopefully, this one gets announced tomorrow. I think we've signed a great player there. George Green will be as good as you've seen at this football club in a long, long time. He's a hell of a player. 22. For those people that don't know it, 15-year-old, he went to Everton for £2 million. Was on ridiculous sums of money, and it changed his life. And what he's been through in that time frame doesn't bear thinking about. It doesn't bear thinking about what that lad's gone through. To come out the other side and still be wanting to play football is a credit to him and his family. Now, he was full-time at Nuneaton. He took a pay cut to come to Chester part-time. Everything that he said to us, he's brilliant. He's left a contract at Nuneaton. He worked for the agent to come to Chester. We've signed some top football players. We've signed some really good football players. Now for us, it's just about making sure we've got the right players in the right areas. I've said it twice now about the meeting about tonight. Hopefully over the next few days we can get the last couple in and sorted, and we're delighted with what we've got. You always want more. But what we won't have and never have had is players sat in the stand that are costing the club money and are nowhere near the squad. We can't have that. We can't allow it to happen.
Is that because of you two that George Green is coming?
I've got to say, yeah, Anna. I've got to get the trumpet out and blow it. Well, I tell you quick stories. I don't want to embarrass the lad. When he left Everton, and then he was playing his local football, Ossett Albion, and scouts told us about this young lad, about his backstory and stuff. And Bernard went up to his house, and met his family. He was 18, 19, and he had 2 big Rottweilers overlooking Bernard. And he's trying to convince him to sign for us. We got him down training, and the day after his agent got him to Burnley. Brilliant move for the kid. Ended up going to Burnley instead of Salford. I don't know why. We ended up getting him on loan. Absolutely unplayable he was for us. Got released from Burnley, and then we put Nuneaton, didn't he? So we know him, we know the lad. At that time when he was going through certain things, me and Bernard was going up, picking him up, taking him to training to Burnley, and then he was coming with us. So we tried to look after him. And I think what a lot of lads will say about me and Bernard is that we're loyal to a person. Now, if they have a bad game, they don't mean to have a bad game. You've got to help them get out the other side of that, because you don't know what they take home afterwards after having a bad game. You see all that nonsense about, especially the way I am on that documentary, and how it's edited to certain points. But we love our players. We absolutely love our players, and that's how it's got to be. And we like to think that the amount of players that follow us to different clubs is sometimes, sentiment to sort of what me and Bernard have done for them in the past. Loyalty, I suppose.
What is the percentage of clubs in this league full-time as against part-time?
Kiddie, full-time. Kidderminster, full-time. York, full-time. Nuneaton, full-time.
17.5%.
You're not far off.
Is it trying to work?
Stockport,
Yeah,
a few hybrids.
7 or 8.
It's getting a lot. It's almost turned into Division 6. You know, there's that many. We had Salford and Harrogate last year. The top 3 of the top 4 last year were full time.
Over the last 2 years, first and second have all been full time, haven't they?
Yeah, it's getting more and more that
Well,
way.
the Turner twins still playing for Harrogate?
Lewis and Nathan.
No, 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 not that, no, not their names. How long ago was that? Did you have them?
4 years
was
ago.
it? 5 years?
Conference North.
No.
Played for Leeds. They were here through on loan from Leeds. The 2 of them, and then one of them signed on permanently.
I think Warner just allowed them to come over just for expenses. So I think they're paying a fee, so I mean, anything, go to Cardiff, we can tap Warner Cup with.
Yeah.
Oh, so you did it when he was at Leeds.
Yeah, there's a lot, and this is what I said before about the under 23s and stuff like that. A lot of clubs take them all in, so they take that 30-goal striker in. They think, right, they're not ready for first team football, and then they want to get back out loan to a non-league side to get them used to men's football. And it's about a lot of the time we get to this stage, you're seeing a lot of clubs are padded out now. The squads are done, the budgets are done. They're pushing them out for next to nothing at certain stages. So that's where our scouts come into it. You know, being on the phone all the time to these clubs, finding out what. I mean, I sat here, however many weeks ago, and said about loan players. What we don't want to do is bring loan players in that get in the way of our young players. Now, if a top young striker comes available on loan, then we have to do it. Otherwise, we're not doing our job. But what I don't ever want to do is block the pathway up for Matty Thompson, Alex Downs at right back. But we've already got Dom Smalley there, and I'm bringing another one in front of them. So if players come on loan, they've got to be coming in to affect the starting 11. And again, it's about having the right due diligence done on it.
Well, mate.
The leading bookmakers have put us either first or second favourites in the league. Do you think that's realistic?
Well, I put 500 quid on it.
Please don't film that.
It's live.
No wonder the odds have gone down.
It's not really. We're not allowed to do that. He's joking.
Listen, I would,
We've got 500 quid left.
I would question why we're favourites in terms of being part-time and competing against 6 or 7 full-time teams. But, you know, there's a lot of rumours going around that, you know, the investors put £1 million into a playing budget and we're going to attract players from Liverpool and that's what bookies do.
So it's not realistic, it's based on
Fake news.
Listen,
conjecture.
Salford City full-time last year was 5-1 to win the league and we're 6-1 part-time and
We haven't got a striker.
we haven't. But you know, we won the league last year as managers. They'll be expecting Chester to bounce back, which I think a lot of people think they will. We know how hard the league is to win it. Winning any league is tough. I don't care how much money you have or how much you spend. It's 42 games. Being the best team in that league over 42 games is hard. That consistency and that continuity. But you know, 6-1. Do you fancy us a lot?
Keep your money in your pocket.
We can do well at home.
We've got to make it a fortress. I mean, John spoke about making the pitch. The groundsman asked us, did he want to bring it in? We want it to be as big as we can, make it a fortress. You know, I don't think we've won here, have we, for 12 months, so that first game. At least it,
with this pitch, every team that comes here, it's like playing a rugby
Yeah,
ball, isn't it?
yeah.
Just because of the,
So you come to Salford, when we was at Salford last year, I'm not joking, the pitch is on a slant, it's muddy, it was unbelievable at home, but sides were beaten before you come here and everyone's rubbing their hands together. It's the opposite. But you don't want to use that as a negative. We've got to use that, you know, we'd like to have our training pitch the exact same size as what this is. It's not feasible. I mean, Derek and us will put sessions on that make the pitch as expansive as possible. You're at Sawgill, if you make it any wider, you're in some farmer's field next door, so it's a little bit, it's difficult, but it's a tough league, isn't it? It's going to be.
Well, last time we went to Fortress here was the last time we were in this league.
Yeah, but I think the league's got a lot tougher, and I don't, you know, I'm not trying to put any less or extra pressure on what we're trying to achieve, but this division, in terms of club sizes, there's much bigger clubs in this league than the one above. Much bigger. Miles bigger clubs. Even clubs like Boston and Darlington, without going into Yorks and Stockports and Kiddies. It's a massive
All
league.
ex-league,
A lot of experienced managers that have won this
Yeah.
league as well this year.
It's funny because guys that got relegated with you, and they're 25 to 1, are they 26, 30 to 1? We're 6 to 1 and got relegated. It's below. Must be the Stuart Murphy effect. I don't know. It's but listen, we're going to give it a good go. We're not coming in to make
That's
the
what we
numbers.
can do,
We're here
yeah.
to win games of football. As long as we win more than we did at home last season, that this is a positive.
One more question.
Are you going to loan out any young players?
Again, you know, that's just been brought out up in the meeting now. I think development is something that a lot of people supporting will question me and John about. Do we want to carry 4 or 5 young lads on the bench throughout the season? It would be great to, but it's important that they fit into our plans and we don't stunt their development. So it might be that a 17, 18-year-old lad who's developing like a Lloyd, maybe at 16-year-old, would be no good coming to guys on a Saturday afternoon, sat in the stand, not getting any minutes, and then where does he get his football time? So again, it's all part of the sort of pre-season plan. We'll make a decision, we'd say 14 days before the season starts, but I think we need to have a sort of one-to-one with the players as well, see where they see themselves featuring. We know that we want 1 or 2 young lads, especially, I mean, we speak about the youth team who've all done well, but especially Ewan, he's been unbelievable for us. All 5, all 6 have, Lloyd as well. But Ewan seems to have that something about him where a lot of people think because he's small, but he's hard, he's tough, and he's at 18. Maybe he's the one that, you know, we might filter through the first team because we can see him getting minutes and he'll affect the game.
One of the best crosses that we've all have seen.
He's technically very well, and we talk about how good our own pitch is. If we can get Ewan working in between the midfield third and the front third, getting in holes, I don't think there's going to be anyone better in this league at doing that. But also, we don't want to push him in too soon, where he thinks he's made it, and then 6 weeks down the line, we send him out on loan. So we've got to get that balance right, and that decision making is really important for their development and ours as well.
But I think there was a bit of a blessing in disguise that you struggled last season, but the kids were thrown into that because you were almost dead and buried quite early doors. The kids got to flourish with no pressure on them. There is pressure on us now. They're being treated the same as Gary Stopford, Scott Burke, Gary Roberts are. That's how it has to be, and they're absolutely thriving on it. We was having a giggle before that. Got a trialist down, big strapping lad, and he threw Matty Thompson down on the floor, didn't he? And Matty was up, game. They're tough, they're resilient lads. You can't coach that. You can't coach that type of stuff that some of these lads have got. We'll give them every opportunity, the pathway to get towards the first team. But it's spot on that. You can't stunt their development by having them sat on the bench and not getting minutes. It might be that 1 or 2 has to go out on loan, but they're doing well, aren't they? They're an absolute credit to the football club and where they've come from, doing so well.
Just one quick one for John. Did your dad share his winnings with you? Buy you a drink?
I didn't know he won anything. What did he win?
Scratch card. Against the Liverpool game. 25 quid.
No, he didn't tell me. I'll have it for that. No.
You ask him.
I will.
He's not coming again then, is he?
No, he says he's coming.
Oh, our families, I mean, Bern, I'll put about 600 on the gate just for his family. Unbelievable how many come watching us. Love it, don't they? Absolutely love it.
Well, all I can say from a board perspective, which everybody else will back me up, it's been great to work. Yes, you're pushing us, but that's your job. The budget is what it is. We don't ever want to be in a situation like we were earlier this year, where we've overpromised on the playing budget. We've overpromised on any area, and you knew that when you came in. You've got every right to push and come knocking on the door and say, Dave, can we do this? We want to do this. Lawrence, can we do this? And we have said no.
Too many times.
Well, that's our job. Because we've got to answer to all these people here. Because we're all owners, we're all fans, we all want Chester to go out there and win every game. But we haven't got a limitless budget. You've been able to move players out, which has freed money up. So it's being creative with that. Respect you for doing that and realising the situation. I mean, you came into that. You knew what it was when you came into it. You're making it work. So I'm really looking forward to the first proper game of the season. And a 4-0 win.
We're all
We've round, is it?
One other thing they are also, as you've probably seen tonight, this is normal. They're approachable.
Yeah.
The players are approachable. The players were in the bar after the last game. The Liverpool game. They're all in here. You two wandering about. Quite happy to, if you're not in the middle of
It's
your
all we've
doing prep.
It's all we've
You're
known.
happy to talk.
It's all we've ever known.
Yeah.
It's all we've ever done.
But I think as the fans, that's great because we can also, you've answered the questions here as best you can.
Yeah.
But you'll do that on a match day
Absolutely.
or whatever. So if you see them about, one to one side and say how much have you spent this week. Thank you.
Can we expect cameras following you around all the time then?
Well, he's got one here.
We might have to do our own documentary.
That's what I'm doing now.
Can I just say, I think this is a very, very, very exciting time for Chester Football Club. On behalf of all of us here, we just want to wish you the very, very best. And we'll all be 100% behind you.
Thank you very much.
Your girl. Thank you.
Right.